There'll be a delay of a second or two. Hopefully you'll see the orange July thing. It's waiting. Yeah. So it still says waiting, but don't do it now. Yeah. Go live, yeah. Oh. It's on, okay. Welcome everyone, take a seat.
Hi Chris.
Yay, Ben, hello. Excellent. So there's a few new faces here. Let's kick off. So we're live streaming tonight, and we just checked. It's actually live streaming. So hello to our audience, our viewers. Anna, can you see how many viewers we've got? Anna's on a call. That's all right. It's happening. Oh, Anna can hear. Excellent. So hello, live streamers. July, here we are. We've got a packed night tonight, so I'm going to try and move through the announcements pretty quickly. We've got the amazing Cassie from Webflow, formerly GSAP /Webflow, still GSAP. It's all one. It's an acquisition, merger, all those great things. And Jack from the WebFail Podcast, amongst many other things. We're in amongst Webflow celebrities this evening, so it's pretty special, I think. Let's get to the agenda. Here's some past events. If you haven't been before, this is kind of what you can expect. Sometimes we have some fun. The social aspect of it's really important, I think, to connect with the community, not just to sit and absorb information, but to be a part of it. But tonight we've got a few quick announcements. Some Webflow news with Jimmy. There's been a lot that's happened over the last 4 weeks, which is exciting. Then we've got Cassie's presentation, more demonstration about this new interactions that everyone's been waiting for with Webflow and how GSAP has been integrated. And Cassie's going to cover that in more detail shortly. And then Jack is going to give us a demo of Loveable. Has anyone used Loveable? Loveable.ai? Good stuff. So some of these tools can be a little bit scary. Where do I start? And Jack's going to give us a quick 101 to show us how that is done. And then we should be finishing up around 8. And if you're up for it and it's not raining, there's the fountain just at the end of the street. And I believe there's some women's semi-final Euro Football Cup going on as well. But England's not playing tonight, so. Quick shout out to our sponsors, Beyond and Structure. Structure's a great brand strategy agency. And they've got an excellent CTO, if you haven't heard.
Who do you work for?
Yeah. And one of our co-founders is here tonight, Jesse, and he's excellent. Beyond, this is where we're the space that we're in at the moment. So they've kindly donated this for free, plus some of the beer on tap. And they have an exclusive offer. So these desks down here, the beer taps, the coffee machine, they even have a barista here until midday most days. All that can be yours with Wi-Fi for £99 per month. 24-hour-a-day access, heart of Silicon Roundabout. So give it some thought. If you need something like this, let me know and we can set up this deal for you. Community announcements. So if there's anything you guys have got going on, if you need help with a project, you're looking to hire or fire, then now's a good time. Maybe not the fire bit. But actually, come to think of it, Structure, we've got a small little GSAP animation project. Maybe it's a Lottie animation. It's just a little background thing with some little things whizzing around. If anyone's interested, let me know, come have a chat. And I'd be keen to, we've only got a short space of time to get this done. So if you've got capacity, have a chat. Anyone else in the room looking for Webflow work at the moment? Possibly? I know Abdul's just launched his website showing off some of his work. Check it out. We can share some links afterwards. Carolina, you've also got a website up with the freelance Webflow work that you've been doing. So, yeah, there might be an opportunity for more announcements at the end. So if you've got anything else, then shout out. And great. Other announcements. 8th of August. So August, we're on hiatus here. I'm off to Australia, and Flowfest is happening in Manchester. So I encourage you all on the 8th of August. Has anyone been to Flowfest before? Yeah, just a few? Okay, and what do you all think of it?
Pick your karaoke song carefully.
Okay, oh, really? There's karaoke? Well, you know, it's probably a good thing.
Like you'll get the chance with Ben around.
Yeah. But you can go to the Flowfest website. Isabel up in Manchester does a fantastic job putting that together. So I encourage you all to consider going along. Great lineup of speakers, including, I guess, some people here that are present. Webflow conference in September. So again, we won't be doing our regular meetup in September. We may be doing a watch party. I'm going to be at the conference, and a few of us in the room will be, which is exciting. I've never been to New York. We did think about getting like a Airbnb loft for the Webflow London kind of crazy party, but who knows? What happens in New York? But if you are in New York and you're trying to get a ticket, then Veronica, the community manager at Webflow, just tweeted a few hours ago. Hit her up on Twitter. And you can possibly get a ticket, not airfares, just a ticket to the conference. But yeah, it's all being live streamed. So that begs the question, with the watch party, if we do a watch party here, the keynote address is at about 2 p.m. London time. And then there's like a deep dive at around 5 p.m. or 5:30 p.m. So potentially we could do a live watch party, but we can't use this space at that time of day. So it'd be in one of the little rooms there. Well, we can fit about 30 in there. Or we could do something at, say, 5 p.m. with a summary of the keynote and then watch live the deep dive. Who's for the former and who's for the latter? So a 2 p.m. watched live, any hands? Maybe? No one? A 5 p.m. Yeah, mostly okay. That sounds good. Okay, that's really helpful. So watch this space. I won't be here, but some other people may be able to help out. So good stuff, guys. Right, moving on. Just quickly on our little community. Hopefully you've all joined the meetup. That's our main portal at the moment. There may be a website coming soon with some resources and things. I just want to mention contribution as a key pillar. We've got these pillars of connection, inspiration, and contribution. So this month I just want to mention contribution. Please put your name down. If you've got something to present, if you want to do a demo or a tutorial, then there's space available to come and present, and it'd be great. So we've got some people potentially lined up for October, but November, give it some thought. Let me know. We're setting up a community resource Airtable type thing. There's lots of these things around, but stuff that's relevant for our group. Anyone in the Webflow community, scan the QR code, submit your resources, YouTubers, tutorials, new things to look at, examples of cool stuff. And some of this, all of this hopefully will come up on our website once that's ready. So, right, over to Jimmy for some Webflow news and updates.
I need that microphone or not? I'll use this one. Use this one. Okay. Flip that on. Hey everyone. Good to see everyone again. So many people I haven't seen in like 6 months because obviously I was away for ages. But looking forward to catching up and stuff after. This is just going to be a very brief segment, as my segments usually are, just to kind of go over, because there's been lots of updates and stuff ever since we last talked. It was only a month ago, but it feels like there's a lot of cool stuff that's come and a lot of cool stuff that's coming up as well. So I thought we'd just do a brief recap in case you've missed any. So a little one which I thought was actually really, really cool is the guest role. So I'm sure everyone here has had the pain where your client invites you to a site or something like that, and you have to keep like handing your details out to get someone into that guest space because they've only got 2 guests, and it's really annoying and stuff like that. But now, hopefully that's going to be improved because they got a different kind of guest invite, and you can invite people from your workspace, so you don't have to have like loads of shared accounts and stuff like that. And also Webflow Cloud. Has anyone used that yet? Anyone? You clicked on it. I think that's going to be a lot of people for a long time. But this could be really, really cool for some bigger projects. Think something like, I don't know, Auto Trader, where you want your front page to be kind of like a marketing site, but then you want kind of really easy access to like listing pages of all like the cars and stuff like that. There you are. That could be like a really cool use case where you want like half web app, half marketing site. Webflow Cloud could be really cool for that. So that's another new option you can present. Some cool ones as well with Analyze. Who's used Analyze here or has a client that uses Webflow Analyze? Nice. So yeah, a couple of people. But now they've introduced some like really cool features like so it can kind of compete with like, I guess like ClickJar, Hotjar, whatever, and the Microsoft one. So like scroll maps and click maps are really important and they should be super useful.
Teamwork in Webflow just got an upgrade. Now it's easier than ever to streamline review cycle.
We got another one as well, which that really went under the radar for me. But there's now like a comments API. So I found the comments in the past, I don't know about anyone else, kind of a bit useless because I get very lost in Webflow. No one's necessarily checking Webflow like every hour to see if someone's left a new comment. But now with the comments API, you can easily set up like automations with Make or Zapier, so people are getting those notifications in Slack as well. So you can kind of annoy people even more. And even like set up stuff with like Asana or like whatever task app you're using to kind of make sure comments get added as new tasks. So I thought that was really cool and kind of went under the radar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that product announcement now needs to go.
Yeah, so you could technically have like an automation with like Trello or Asana or anything like that, where if you leave a comment, it gets shot through and like creates a task, which I think is really cool. Like that could be really powerful, especially if you're working in like a big team. And then another massive one, which I know they've been hyping up and kind of teasing for a little while as well, is like live collaboration. So hopefully we'll get something similar to Figma, where you could have like multiple devs in one project collaborating on different things. And that could, like, when you think about it, you could technically like 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x your capacity in one project and get everything done like much quicker if, when we see this like working live. I'm sure some people here, you probably speak to some people who've tested it out a little bit already.
Maybe another quick one, is that build mode only?
And it's not build mode only. So I thought initially, and there was a few murmurs that it was build mode only, but apparently it's also going to be in design mode, I think, maybe. So,
Very interesting.
yeah. Very interesting. It's just going to be another video. Another really cool release isn't necessarily Webflow, but to do with Reloom. I know, like, super useful tool if you've got maybe a smaller client with like less of a budget. They've now released their new design mode as well, which is like AI generated designs. Again, you probably wouldn't use it for a massive client, like a bespoke job, but can be like a really cool way to get from like 0 to like 60% for a client with less budget. And I've tested this out and it does work pretty well. It's quite cool. Nice. So that's it for the news update. Is there anything I've missed? Anything anyone's like picked up on recently that's like another cool update or? Yeah, that was very. Yeah, we mentioned it very briefly earlier, but to improve guest role and stuff. So yeah, cool. Now on to the presentations. That's it.
Good stuff. Yeah, has anyone tried out the new guest releasing of limits and how's it going?
Yeah, I've done it once. It works really well. It's nice to not have to share your logins with other people. I actually owe you one.
So the idea is a a client invites you to their workspace, and everyone in your team is also invited.
Yeah, so you get added as an agency role, like guest role, and then you can add people from your agency workspace into the client's workspace. Just works a lot better. So like I said, it means that you don't have to share logins and stuff. It makes it a lot easier.
Let's get this on. Do you want to clip? Oh, actually, why don't you do this? Hang on. I'll do that, and then you can take that. How's that? You can be Chris Stitch. It's a downgrade. Okay, hang on. Let's get this going.
Hi everyone, I'm Chris Skitch.
If you want to get your power on, we'll just make sure the screen is here. Hopefully the demo. Oh, I don't want to jinx it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Cassie presenting or demoing the new GSAP integration with Webflow.
Hi everyone, but hi specifically the two dogs. Mainly hello to this little angel down here. It's nice to see so many familiar faces. There's like a few of you that I met at FlowFest and Webflow Conf London. Just to get a little read on the room, who here has tried GSAP in code? Okay, quite a lot of people. Interesting. Who here has tried the new GSAP Webflow interactions? A little bit, okay, awesome. Who here has been around since like the Flash days? How is your back feeling? You're doing good if you've got a comfortable chair. All right, so for the people that haven't heard of GSAP, GSAP is a JavaScript animation library that you can use to basically animate anything. Someone cornered me just before the talk and was asking whether GSAP is a vector animation library. And you can use GSAP to animate SVG, so vector graphics. But GSAP itself doesn't do any rendering. So if you've used Rive or Lottie, those are kind of whole animation systems that render the stuff to the page for you. What GSAP does is animates properties of things, of anything. So that could be HTML elements, CSS properties, SVG attributes, like JavaScript objects in Canvas or WebGL, 3JS. So the strength of GSAP is basically that you can build out your web page however you want with HTML elements, semantic markup. You can use CSS, you can use all the things that you're used to, and then you can kind of pop GSAP on top and then construct kind of complex animation timelines. So yeah, GSAP is great. I made a lot of websites with GSAP back in the day and started teaching GSAP at workshops, and then eventually got a job at GSAP, just me and Jack, the code author. And we kind of bumbled along for a while. And then the Webflow community came along and you folks started building amazing things with Webflow and GSAP. And then got us on the radar of Webflow. And now we belong to Webflow, who we got acquired. So it's really exciting for us. Mostly because we always had a little paid subscription mechanism in order to keep us in jobs. And Webflow are now kind of covering that for everyone. So now all of GSAP is free for everyone, thanks to Webflow, which is pretty cool. I'm just doing confetti just for the sake of it, just because it's fun. Whee! So yeah, since the acquisition, the first thing that they did was make GSAP free for everyone. So if you use GSAP in code, you can now use any of the plugins, any of the tools to build anything that you can dream up, pretty much. But what we've been working on since the acquisition is the new Webflow interactions. So this is going to take over from the old Webflow interactions, which is about time because that's using jQuery under the hood. So it will be powered by GSAP, which will mean that your animations are going to be a lot more performant. And we're really looking into how to integrate accessibility and a whole lot of other things into it. It is quite an early stage release, this. So if you've played around, you've probably seen that there's like a few things there, but there's a few things that aren't quite at parity, feature parity with IX2. We're gradually adding those features, and we're kind of aiming to be at full feature parity by Webflow Conf. So that's full feature parity with IX2, not full feature parity with GSAP. That's a higher bar. We're going to eventually be at full feature parity with GSAP, but in a little bit of time. So yeah, I think my goal today, it's kind of selfish, really. I got asked to do a presentation. I'm actually far more interested in talking to you lot and finding out what you're excited about, what you've been struggling with, and what we can build into the future of IX3. But I will do a little presentation just because I got asked to. So wondering whether anyone watched the live stream that I did with Aaron Korenblit back in the day. Yeah, okay, so this was before the acquisition. Aaron noticed that a lot of people were using GSAP in Webflow, and he got me on a little live stream, and we built this little clonable. Let's see. So it was just like a little loading animation, and then some images stagger in. And we specifically lent on staggering because that's quite, like, it's a GSAP feature that a lot of people were leaning on GSAP for because it was really hard to do in IX2, seeing lots of like nodding and pained expressions. So I thought what would be fun for today is just to rebuild this with IX3. I've realized I keep calling it IX3, and that's like the internal name for it. Apparently, I'm meant to be calling it the new Webflow interactions with GSAP. If anyone from Webflow is watching, I'm sorry. the new interactions with GSAP. Okay, so over here, this is the code that we wrote out for that live stream. And one of the first things that we did was we staggered in this the letters. And then we had a little pause, and then we staggered the letters out again. So let's give that a go. We've got our page here. And if we take a look at where are our elements, awesome. So we've got this little paragraph tag here. And in the original template, we actually broke that out into spans and then animated each letter individually. But let's create an interaction with split text. So we're going to create page load animation. And this is really fun. We put together a bunch of little presets as well. So I'd love feedback on the presets, like as you're building out things, because we thought it would be nice to give people a little kind of point to jump off from. We've tried to make them the sort of presets that are actually usable, because there's so many animation presets out there that like you don't use them. Like nobody's using like the jiggle one. But yeah, so let's create a little stagger drop-in. We've got the little timeline at the bottom here, and you can choose fit to timeline. That stretches things out a little bit. So we've got a little stagger drop-in. We've got our text, and we're going to add our class of loading. Amazing. And then, oh wait, it disappeared. Loading. Cool, so we've got that selected. And you can see it's just bumping in like that. And that's because we haven't split the text up into characters. So split text is one of GSAP's most popular plugins. And you can choose to split by line, word, or letter. So we're going to split by letter. And you'll see now, if we play it, it's animating all the letters in individually. Another cool thing is that you can mask this. So right now you can see that it's animating in from, oh no, we've got some CSS that's masking it already. So ignore But yeah, so we're animating in the letters. Let's have a little look at our demo so we can see what should happen. I think we're loading it in from the bottom. Cool, so if we go to our action here, you can see that we've got like from to. If you're familiar with GSAP, you'll probably be familiar with the from to thing. So in GSAP world, you can either choose to animate to some values from wherever your element is on the canvas, or you can animate from some values to wherever your element is on the canvas, or you can have a bit more control and you can define both of those values. Most of the time, you're going to be using two animations, because two animations will take whatever the state is at that time. So that's nice for sequencing, because you can kind of animate to somewhere and animate to somewhere else, animate to somewhere else, and you kind of let GSAP do the thinking for you. You don't have to define all the values. But what we're going to do is we're going to animate from the bottom. So we're going from 100% of the height to 0. Ta-da! And then you can change the duration like in the settings there, or you can just do little draggies on the timeline, which is quite nice for visual builders. Let's change the ease as well. So we'll do like a little expo in out. We've got a like a custom easing thing coming, and also like a ease visualizer. So right now we've just kind of got this drop down, which is a little bit much, but we'll eventually have like an actual easing curve in there for you folks. So yeah, that looks pretty great. What we want to do is we want to animate it in and then up again. So you can just copy paste like that, and that has made another action which we can stretch out on the timeline. And then this one we want to animate to. So we'll select 2, and then we'll go -100. All of the other settings are the same. And then let's have a little look. Got nothing! Hooray! That's super fun. Why has this happened? Let's play this again. Demos are always fun, aren't they? Oh, it is working. Let's go back again.
Cassie, quick question.
Yes.
The version of Webflow you're using, this is what everyone has, or do you have something special?
This is what everyone has.
Nice.
Yeah.
As of a week ago.
As of, I think a week ago. It got rolled out like over a month. So now everybody has this. You can get there. There's a little toggle on the bottom right. I think I can, if I go out, you can see it. There we go. So if you go to interactions, there's a little drop down. Can you see that?
Just.
And you can choose either classic interactions or interactions with GSAP. And then there's a little menu on the left-hand side where you can see all of your interactions as well. So if we go back into this, we'll make another action. So we'll do, let's just do a custom one. What was our target? Target was loading. Okay, so let's do this again. Add target. Choose loading. Be on the right one. Loading, excellent. So we're going to do the Y value. Again. There's 2 Y values actually. There's like Y% and there's move Y. I think we're using Y% on this one. Yeah, okay. So let's use Y% on this one. Then we're going to animate to -100. And then hopefully, hey! Yeah! Okay, that's working. It's working this time. So we want to do split text again, and we're going to split by letter. I think we found a bug, you know?
I've actually had that exact scenario.
Two split texts in a row.
And then
Interesting. Yeah.
Pressing refresh.
Raising a ticket. Huh.
Love everything else, by the way.
Thanks. It's not stressful at all running into like bugs doing things live. But at least it's not me building it, so I just get to go to the other people and say, this thing is not working. So, okay, well, all of it's going up. Let's try and make some of it go up. Stagger, offset time, 0.1, and then let's do expo in out. Let's give this another go. Interesting. Okay, so it's showing in preview. If we publish this to staging, thanks for bug hunting with me. Is this published now? Yeah. Okay, animating in and animating out. Okay, so it just doesn't like it in the actual page itself. That makes sense. There's quite a lot of complex things going on. We'll give them a little bit of grace. It's working now. Yeah, okay, it's working everywhere now. We just needed to refresh a little bit. It's an early iteration. It is early days. So yeah, we've got the text animation happening there. And you can see that that's animating from the letter L both times. If we wanted to animate these images the same way that the link does, it's animating them from the L and then animating out. But then the images are staggering in from the center. So we'll make another action here. We'll do a custom one. We'll drag that out. And then we're going to target the gallery image. I mean, there's only a few images on the site, so I think I'm going to be a bit cheeky here. And I'm actually just going to... Oh, you can see the images. That's new. So a few days ago, you had to actually type out the classes. Now we've got a lovely drop down, so that's really nice. So we're going to target the gallery images, if it lets me select it. Gallery image, excellent. And then we want to animate those from the bottom. So here, you might have noticed there's some defaults when you make a new custom interaction. The things that it shows are the things that are the most performant. So when you're animating on the web, for HTML elements at least, the things that you should be looking to target are opacity and transforms. And those happen on a composite layer in the browser. So those are like very nice and quick for the browser to animate. Things like height and width and top and left are layout properties, and that takes a little bit more calculation for the browser to do. So when you hear people talking about janky animations, it's usually because they're animating layout properties. So these are the ones that we've surfaced for people to have by default. You actually can't see because it's a little bit off the screen, but there's a plus button, and the plus button brings up a whole menu that you can choose different properties that you might want to animate. So like skews and rotates and background color and borders and stuff. Eventually, because GSAP can animate anything, we're going to add in the ability for you to just type in properties. So if you want to animate something like clip path or something that's like a little bit more obscure, you'll be able to do that. And you'll also be able to animate the values of CSS variables as well, which is good fun. So yeah, right now to animate the images, what we want is to do the Y% value. And we're going to animate from, I think, -100. Let's give this a go. It hasn't worked again. Let's check this out. So sad. Okay, we've got a class selected. We've got gallery image. We are animating from gallery image wrapper. That's what we need to animate. Okay, let's go gallery image wrapper. It's really not loving it today, is it? In and we're out from the top. It's a shame. Gallery image.
Is the 2 selected?
Is the what?
The 2 selected?
Yeah. Well, it should just be animating from to its current value.
Because there's no value in the 2.
Yeah. Should the 2 be not selected so it defaults to 2?
Hey.
Well, that worked. Excellent. It's hard to see whether the from and tos are selected or not, isn't it? I think that's a valid bit of UX feedback that I'm going to pass along. It's hard to tell whether you've got a from or a to or a from to selected. Okay, so now we've got in preview, we've got the text coming in, the text going out, and then the images coming in, which is good. But we want to stagger the images. Okay. Light mode. Yeah. Right, so we're going to do a stagger, and we're going to do, there's total time and offset time. Offset time is how much time you want in between the individual animations, and then there's total time, which is how much time you want all of the stagger animations to complete in. So we could say offset time 1 second, and then you'd get 1 whole second between each animation. Or we could do total time 1 second, and that would be all of them complete within 1 second. So it's a little bit different. Figures out the offset time for you. So let's do 1 second and a duration of 1 second, and we'll do expo out. Expo is my favorite ease. It's like a swishy kind of cool ease, whereas like bounce easing is like more playful, and then like power 1, power 2, power 3 are kind of like the normal standard kind of gentle easings.
Where do you find your favorites? You just kind of play around with it and see what you think best?
Yeah, I think so. Just have a little play around. If you go to the GSAP docs, and you go to the easing page, we've got an ease visualizer, so you can see how they feel. So like bounce easing, playful, elastic easing, even sillier. Sine easing is like very smooth. Expo is a lot more kind of swishy.
Are you in the Osmo community? Sorry. It was just a question to Jimmy, because Dennis found that if you go on inspect, you can see the easing for different things if you inspect the elements, like in developer tools. So if you want to learn how to get that easing that's on like a certain thing, you can actually inspect it, which is pretty cool.
If they're using CSS, you're
If
talking about
they're using-
in dev tools.
yeah.
Well, I mean, the difference there is that with CSS, I mean, you can actually do more complex easing now, but GSAP easing, it's all based on SVG paths. So you can basically create any easing you want just by dragging things around, whereas CSS is usually like cubic Bezier. People use that. You've got 2 handles. So yeah, it's quite fun kind of playing around with easing.
I don't know if this is like a... I didn't really say anything there until the mic. Hello, YouTube audience. When you do one type of easing, for example, on images coming in, is it generally like good practice to have the same kind of easing throughout a site? If you have any advice about that, I'd be really interested to know.
Yeah, so I'd usually use like maybe 2, sometimes 3 types of easing on a site. You can't systematize it too much because sometimes like I've seen developers try to say, well, you always need this duration and this easing for all of our animations. But if you're moving something 10 pixels upwards, it's going to need a whole different duration and easing to something that's like swiping the whole width of the site. So it's like, yes, having consistent easing is nice, but also kind of just see how it feels on different elements.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, we'll hopefully be adding in the future. With GSAP, you can set default easing. And hopefully we'll be adding that to Webflow in the future as well.
I just wanted to add to that a little bit. I'm a bit of an imposter because I don't do Webflow, but I do motion design and animation.
I don't do Webflow either.
And I'm all about animation. So I just wanted to add to that, you know, motion's like your brand's kind of body language. So you want to come up with something that works for the brand that enhances the visuals and then stick to the kind of same feeling throughout, I guess. And then that's how I approach it. And usually, you know, you've got motion guidelines for branding, so then you want to stick to the same easings for different elements and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think that sometimes you've also got to think about whether an animation is decorative or whether it's functional. So if you're animating like navigations, UI stuff, you might want to go for a kind of slicker, faster ease. But then if you've got some decorative animations on the site, you might want to be more playful with them. So you can kind of break the rules there. Okay. UI should be quite consistent, though, I think. Yeah.
One more quick question,
Yeah,
Rian. Actually, we've got lots of questions happening now.
Actually, to connect it to what's coming next, the Loveable part, do you have already a lot of people trying to query GSAP with natural language and say, I want to have an animation with 5 images with starting from the bottom and blah blah. So and getting the code and apply them to, let's say, the images in a folder or something. Is it already something you're seeing being done by people?
Lots of people are doing that. Yes. Yeah. I'm personally not like a big AI fan. I like owning my own knowledge. Yeah. I like learning the things and then.
When I see all the things with when I see all the thing with the UI, the buttons, you have to know which options to choose to get the result that you want. But when you were talking, you were saying, "Oh, we're going to do something which starts in the middle at the bottom, and then it will be 1 second staggered between the different elements." Mm-hmm. If you just say it, you don't have to learn how to use the user interface.
That is true. You are also using huge amounts of GPU power and slightly burning the planet in order to do so. But personal opinion, I agree. I think a lot of people are using ChatGPT to prompt and get code out. And I think it has been useful for some people. I would also say if you kind of have an idea and you want to prompt in like human language, the GSAP forums are there and there are humans in there that will help you in human language to kind of figure out.
I understand you're not a super fan.
Not a super fan, but yeah.
Cassie, can we have another question here? Mm-hmm. That's okay.
A quick question. Can you animate SVG vector graphics?
Can
Animate as SVG?
SVG, yes.
Yeah. How can you show me?
Not right now, but yes. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, we can come back to it.
Not in Webflow at the moment, but with GSAP, yeah.
Is it possible to use both types of interactions in one project, as a classic and new GSAP one?
Yeah, you can do. I wouldn't recommend it because you're adding 2 animation libraries.
That's why I asked. So if we have all the projects we already built with previous animations, so it's better not to put new animations on top
I think unless you're excited about the prospect of switching them all over, I reckon if you've got an IX2 project, like leave it an IX2 project. I would also say for like GSAP is a really powerful for doing complex sequenced animations. If you don't have a complex sequenced animation and you've just got like a button that's changing color on hover, use CSS for that. That's what CSS transitions are for. Keep things simple. I see like people sometimes will only have a couple of very simple animations and then they'll pull in animation libraries, and you don't need to. You can just keep it simple, and then use GSAP for the more complicated things.
Okay. Or another option, so if I have GSAP code in my project, would it be a good idea also use this interface? Can they exist together?
You can mix up GSAP code and IX3. If you don't have to include the GSAP libraries if you're using IX3.
Yeah, that's what
but I think they've worked out if someone is pulling in the GSAP library and then also uses IX3, it will only load it once, which is good. Ultimately, I would really love for people to be able to get GSAP timelines out of IX3 and then control them in code, because there's always going to be a lot more power that you have in code than you do in a UI.
It's like something I find really useful is the CSS visualizer that Webflow already has. Thanks. So you there's like a little drop down where you click view CSS and you can see the CSS that you're creating in the panel, and that's super useful for like CSS animations and stuff. If you could do the same with GSAP, like just export the code that you're creating, that would be really cool as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. There's already a custom. Let's see if I can find it. Custom event type here. If you go to the custom events, you can paste that code into your project and that will fire off your GSAP timeline. I'm not a huge fan of this, and it's changing, because what I think would be more useful is if we handed users the reference to the GSAP timeline in GSAP code. Right now, this is passing people an event emitter, which does one thing, but if you pass people the actual timeline itself, then they can use any of GSAP's methods on it. So it would give them a little bit more power, but that's kind of what we're thinking in terms of like a code integration, is like giving people who can code a little bit of a backdoor so that they can build something in IX3 and then use code to prompt ChatGPT. How do I do? how do I play this in reverse?
And then you can do it with Olama locally without heating the atmosphere.
I think there's probably going to be a lot of questions still to come. Maybe Cassie, do you want to, conscious of time, finish off the demo bit, and then we'll try and have 5 minutes or so of question and answer.
I think there was just one more thing that I was going to do, which is currently it's animating in from the left-hand side, and you can set different stagger values. So this is saying stagger from start, but you can set to stagger from end, and it will animate from the end of the items. You can choose a random stagger, and it will animate in a random order. For our demo, we wanted to animate in from the center. So, hey,
Ta-da.
Let's make that 0.5. And then if we preview it, that should do what the site was doing. Hey, we got there eventually.
Excellent. Is that the demo?
That's the demo done. I'm sorry that it turned into a little bit of a bug hunt.
Yeah, so maybe we can go to some questions. I've got a question, and I've got the microphone. So this looks amazing, especially if you have no background in GSAP, you're used to Webflow, point and click. But from your perspective, you've been coding GSAP. Are you still inclined to it in code, or are you straight away going into this and this is speeding things up for you?
Not for me. No.
Not for you. No.
If you understand JavaScript and you know the GSAP library, you can basically do anything that you can think of. Yep. The Webflow interactions is amazing for people who don't know JavaScript and don't know the GSAP API. And I think that it's incredibly valuable. For myself now, I wouldn't use it. Myself of 10 years ago, I was making banner ads for a living. Mm-hmm. And I was using Adobe Premiere Pro to try and animate. And it was horrible. And then eventually I taught myself GSAP just because I struggled so much with it. But what I would have really loved at that point in time is like a UI for GSAP. I would have loved to be able to build banner ads in something like this. So I'm building this for past me, and I'm building this for like future past Cassies, like other people
that makes sense.
Who might want like an easier, more visual way to get started. And I think some people will be really happy building visually. Other people maybe might kind of get intrigued by GSAP and might jump into custom code. And we'll be sitting in the forums ready to help if you do.
Nice. More questions? Oh, Abdul?
Yeah, awesome presentation so far. And I have a question about responsiveness with this new IX3, which is in IX2, you can choose when you want something to show on desktop, tablets, mobile landscape and all. But for this one, you can't.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I think what I keep saying to people is early iteration. The internal conversation around IX3 and Webflow is that this is an opt-in thing that you can try out. It's in its early stages. We've implemented a few things. We're kind of seeing how it clicks with people, and it is actively being worked on. And there is quite a large feature roadmap ahead. It's been interesting to see the community buzz around it because people obviously put out YouTube videos that were like, GSAP has a UI now. Webflow interactions is here. And it's not yet. We're getting there. We're working towards it. We would love to hear your feedback on it. We would love to see what you're trying to build and what stumbling blocks you're kind of running into. And then by Webflow Conf time, it should be a lot more polished and it should be kind of more at feature parity.
Nice. More questions? How can I can pass this over.
So first of all, was really looking forward to this, and it's my first time seeing it, so it looks amazing. I think this question would be kind of like a continuation of what Jimmy mentioned. First of all, the animations that you make with the UI, is that are all of them like GSAP timelines in the code base of it? Like when the actual animations get written in like wherever it's stored, are they all GSAP timelines essentially?
Yeah.
And is there any way now or in the future for like someone like me, I use a lot of my GSAP tweens for functional stuff. Like, you know, if I'm like, for a click list and a component and stuff like that, I use my GSAP animations at the end of that event. So is there any way that I could expose these timelines for my custom JavaScript to access them globally?
Yeah, so that is a thing that the custom event that I showed a little bit earlier, that's what that is looking to solve.
So would the custom event let me bring code in to be used in the UI? Or the...
So there will be both ways.
Okay.
So
okay.
The custom event here, what this is solving is that you could write some JavaScript, or you could have some third-party JavaScript that maybe is like a form submission, say, and maybe that library you're using has a callback. You could paste this little bit of code into that callback, and when your form submits, it could fire off an animation.
Oh, that's brilliant.
There will also be the other way around. So if we look at the page load interaction here, right now, the reason that we've called the things that live on a timeline actions instead of tweens. So if you're like in the GSAP world, you'll know that tweens are the animations that live on a timeline. We haven't called them tweens, we've called them actions because they're not just animations. Right now they are just animations, but we're going to be able to have the ability to add, fire off some custom code, toggle a class, like fire off some sort of Zapier integration maybe. You should be able to do all of that from inside your timeline. So actions are more than just animations. There will be like more integrations coming and more things that you'll be able to put onto your timeline.
So this is kind of expanding it beyond just a timeline to like click listeners, event listeners.
Yeah. And that's basically how GSAP works under the hood. So with GSAP, you can have timelines that have tweens on, but you could also fire off a callback, which is basically a function that you can do whatever you want in. And you could say, I don't know, play a sound or like fire off a form or send this integration off or whatever.
Thank you.
Cool.
God, I love JavaScript.
God, I love JavaScript.
Yeah. We want to allow Jack some time, so this might be the last question.
That's the energy I wanted.
Yeah. But Cassie, are you in a rush back to Brighton at the end?
Only because my dog is at home by
Okay.
himself and sad without me, but not in a big rush. I will definitely have
there
time
might
for
be
a
some
beer
time.
and a chat.
Excellent, nice one. So, Jimmy with the last question.
So the default, so currently some of the most useful triggers in IX2 are like the interactions with the default Webflow elements, like menu open and like drop down open and stuff like that. That isn't available yet, I'm guessing. And
No.
Secondary part to that question is kind of like those default elements. Do you think eventually they'll be inheriting like GSAP, because they must be built on jQuery and stuff at the minute as well?
I don't actually know. That's like a little bit more into like the Webflow interrupt world, a little bit further away from my little GSAP bubble. I do know that people have asked for those events. Those components, I imagine, would just be like HTML, CSS, a little bit of JavaScript to like do some stuff. We're looking into like whether we can build out components with GSAP, especially more complicated ones like sliders, that kind of thing, carousels, everybody loves them. Yeah. But yeah, like it's coming. I'm not sure in what form, whether that's going to be on top of the existing elements or like new components. Okay. But yeah, will be coming.
Thank you very much.
Excellent.
No worries.
Was there anything else, Cassie, you wanted to wrap up with?
Just have a little play around. Let me know what you run into and if you run into any issues or if you start playing around with it and you think, oh, this would be really cool, or oh, I'm struggling to do X, Y, and Z, and then yeah.
And how can people reach out to you? Was it just through the forums?
The GSAP forums is kind of more for GSAP stuff. I guess Webflow forums would be the place to go for IX3, and then I get looped into those questions. If you're one of the partners or in the Webflow beta group there as well.
Yeah, okay, very good. Well, we actually have a WhatsApp group for our meetup, and maybe you want to dip in there at some point if people have something burning. But anyway, at this point, thank you very much, Cassie. Excellent demonstration. Really appreciate and looking forward to what's coming. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We just need 40 seconds to switch over. But if you want to use the bathroom quickly or replenish your drink, it gets a little bit warm in here after the AC turns off to save money and save the planet. So grab a drink if you need to.
Oh yeah.
Embarrassing bit is if you go to the toilet.
Oh
Stick down, do you want to become a sketch? You can stick it on your lapel.
Is that's on?
That's it, yeah.
Stand back a bit. Do I need anything?
Well, technically we should finish in 15 minutes.
I'll fly through it, mate. I'll be fine.
But if you need a few...
That's all good. Yeah, I'll just get some water. Hey, mate, you good? Yeah, same. Were you here the whole time? Yeah. Oh, you were? I haven't said hi yet. Cool. I'm a little nervous, but I'm okay. Hey, I'm Jack, by the way. Nice to meet you. Hey, lovely to meet you. Yeah, I'm a little nervous, but I think it will go okay. Hey, you know, I'm gonna have a go. Plenty of practice, but that doesn't make it easier. You know? No, I'll say some stuff. If you tell me afterwards if it makes sense, okay? We'll see. Hey, we'll see. See you in a little bit, Booth. Sorry. Oh, sorry.
Guys, excuse me.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, dude.
We need someone that can do the whistle. Guys, we need to start again, if that's okay. We gotta get back into it first. Sorry, guys. Right, we've only got about 15 minutes left. So if you take a seat, and our final presenter this afternoon or this evening is Jack, who's going to be demonstrating Loveable AI. So yeah, take it away, Jack. Thank you.
Just check this works. Hey everyone, hope everyone's doing well. Good to see some familiar faces. Some people I haven't met before as well. So to preface, I know that this is a Webflow meetup and I'm not talking about Webflow, so shoot me. Okay, who am I? What is Loveable? 11 lessons on making a lovable app. Where is the web going? I've got a lot to cover, 15 minutes. Who am I? Who am I? I do a bit of Webflow, a bit of Spline, and I've recently been doing a bit of Loveable. So I started doing some agency work. That was terrible. Then I did some freelancing. Still doing it. That's me. And I did some podcasting, and that didn't go too well either. Then I tried a bit of content creation. That's kind of interesting. It's pretty inconsistent and a little bit squeaky bum time, but it's fun. So that's where I'm at. That's kind of like the timeline, right? Agency, freelancing, podcasting. But now, I'm building an app. So I basically want to do whatever I want to do. I just want to make whatever I want to make. And I know that's pretty much all of us. And I feel like the barrier to entry to do that is lower than it's ever been. Now this tiny bit here, I haven't done the whole way, as you can see. I was using Figma slides and I kind of didn't quite, whatever.
These graphics are
I know, it's simple but powerful. Right? You need a little bit of knowledge, but that's where you guys come in. You guys are actually very well versed in the web, Webflow. You guys know a bit, and I think that's the little barrier to entry. But I think very soon that barrier, this is just going to go straight down to the bottom. By the way, if you didn't know what that was, barrier to entry and time. That's what the axes are meant to be. Didn't quite finish that. What is Loveable? This is Loveable. You can basically write a prompt, and you can get a prototype. So it's a prototyping tool, but you can actually build real things, which is kind of exciting. So what I'm going to do is show you a bit of Loveable. Dude, I've got, that's just one email. I got 5 emails. Okay, so let's say I want to build an app, and so I'm in a 5-a-side football team, and every week no one pays me. They're meant to pay me a $5 to play on the pitch, and I'm in so much debt, okay? So I want to say, make me an app to get everyone in my five-a-side team to pay me. Okay, so I'm going to give it a super broad prompt. Now this is what I would not recommend. This is my first recommendation to not do, is to give it a super broad prompt unless you want something that looks terrible. But this is going to spin up something, and we're going to get something pretty bad because we've given a very bad prompt. Hello?
He's got questions.
What's that?
Jack's too busy to read.
What?
He wants his five-a-side thing now.
Yeah, I want it already.
No, he's asking you some questions.
Oh, once I have made the details, I'll create a beautiful functional payment. Perfect. Go. Okay, so you've got to be polite. And you've got to spell correctly to get this to work. But basically, we're going to spin up something. Okay?
He's not sure.
Once I have the details, I can start building. I'm not sure what you meant perfect. Please build my app. Build my, please build my app. I'm doing a presentation and need something to show. Okay, so we're going to get a something. Okay, well, this is spinning up something, hopefully. I'm going to carry on. So this is Loveable, and so far I've built about 20 terrible things. Here are some of the things that I can show you. Not terrible in like a bad way, just to be clear, like just not very good apps. So this is one where you can basically, I'm sick and tired of hearing people say, I want my life to change, but they don't actually do anything to change their life. So me and Jimmy were talking before this, this whole thing, and I was basically like, why don't we create, well, I didn't actually say all of this to you, but I was like, yeah, that's actually a really good idea. So we basically made this like 12, and he told me about this 12-week plan thing where basically every single day you take action to actually change your life. So say I want to get a six-pack, every single day I'm going to do 100 sit-ups or whatever. And basically, let's actually do that. I want a six-pack, do 100 sit-ups, okay? So start my 12-week journey. And basically every single day it's going to send me an email and it's going to say, did you complete your daily action? Yes, no, progress calendar. When I click yes, I've got this little thing at the bottom. Great job, come back tomorrow, keep that streak alive. Now what's kind of fun is there's a bit of a social element, so you can invite your friends, you guys can do the same challenge, you can do different challenges. Basically this is a prototype. It looks horrible, and I get that. I'm not trying to focus on how it looks so far. I'm just trying to get something. That's what a prototype is. Like I'm trying to visualize what this looks like, okay? God, football thing is taking a while. It's probably because my prompt was so good. So, speaking of, let's actually talk about that. Some facts about Loveable. They're doing really well. Dream Tracker, I've showed you that. Here are the 11 lessons to use Loveable successfully if you're interested in making prototypes. If you want to do a design that is actually looking good, I would recommend not actually starting with prompting at all. What I would recommend you do is you go to Railum, you make sections, you change the copy, you use the design beta thing that Jimmy talked about earlier, which is actually quite good. And you can actually get a brand identity quite quickly. And then you can import that to Figma and use this free plugin called builder.io, which actually links to Loveable, and then you can make something that is responsive very, very quickly, which looks way better than what you're going to get if you just prompt straight out of the box. So then you can basically, once you've got a Figma design, you've got your Railum design, export to Figma, Figma into Loveable via this plugin called Builder. It sounds really complicated. It's not at all, and it's pretty much all free. You can get something into Loveable which looks half decent. If you do want to go straight to Loveable, don't do a terrible prompt. I recommend going to like ChatGPT or something like that and actually like get a better prompt. So you can ideate to get a really, really good prompt that is actually something that you'd want to see once you actually click go with Loveable. So I'd recommend thinking a little bit about component types. You can specify colors, aesthetics, fonts. You can actually just give it a lot more instruction, and the more instruction you give it, obviously the more the result is going to be what you see in your head. I've tried both methods of like giving a super broad prompt and getting a really, really broad prototype, which is fine because you can ideate from there. But I also think it's really frustrating if you've got a really clear idea in your head of what you want and then it just completely messes up. So to actually support this, you can definitely like go and have a look on, this one's called Godly. There's loads of different websites that show examples of what different UIs might look like, and you can just screenshot them, put them into Loveable and be like, can I have something more like this or change the colors like this? Again, I would recommend doing this process before going to Loveable and just being like more intentional with the design, because if you're actually trying to build something that's a relatively good prototype, it's better to have a clearer idea. Here's some cool visual inspo sites. A lot of them you've probably heard of. Similarly, you can actually go to UI libraries and then copy and paste the code and just whack it straight in, which is insane how quick it is. Again, not always looking perfect, but you can ideate from there. So if you've already built a few pages of a front-end website, then you might have like a marketing site and then have a login to a web app. You might be like, okay, on this about page or the pricing page, I want a pricing component that's like 3 columns, like the cheap option, the one I actually want you to get, really expensive enterprise option, whatever. So there's a couple of libraries that I really recommend using. I can send you this after if you're at all interested. Something else that's actually really useful is you can chat to Loveable before making the changes. So you can kind of ideate with Loveable, which I think is really, really helpful. So if you're like, I'm not actually too sure how the best way of doing this is, like, let's say I want to link up a login, but it has Facebook and it has Google Auth and it has loads of different logins. What's the best way of like linking that up to Supabase, or is there another thing that I should be using or whatever? You can do that in this chat functionality, which is so helpful. You don't have to just be like, change this, and then it will just change it and mess up your whole project. Speaking of, you can restart if the first output is bad. I'm not sure why that's capitalized, but if you want to just go back to the start, then do it. You know, if you start reading a book and you're just like, after the first chapter, you're like, what am I even doing with my life? Just get another book. Like, you don't need to read the whole book. Vice versa with this. You don't need to go through the pain of trying to iterate over and over, saying, like, this isn't right. And it's like, why don't you just start again? Similarly, you can actually, in Loveable, you can edit stuff on the page itself. So say you're like, I actually want to change a section, but instead of writing a prompt and being like, can you change the copy in the paragraph in the hero header to... Just change it using the edit functionality, which is in Loveable. It's a new feature, really, really handy to change stuff super fast. This is actually one that Jimmy also said before I did this presentation, because I was trying to do this I actually had this like mad thing with like, I can just show you. I tried to do this way more complicated app, which has like loads of functionality. And he was just like, I don't really get it. Which is a bummer to hear when you show someone something for the first time, but it was totally fair. Like, I needed to actually have a dashboard that was way more simple than the one I actually have. And so I think a really good bit of advice that I should have taken that I didn't take is making sure that one feature works really well and is really, really clear before adding any others, and even questioning whether you even need more features before adding any others, because potentially you've got a whole different business or idea that isn't relevant or shouldn't be added. Use the revert button often. You can actually click, so as you're going through and you've on the left, you've got the type functionality, and you can prompt it. You can actually click restore and go back to an earlier version, just like you can in Webflow with previous versions of your website. So I find I click revert way more often in Loveable than I do in Webflow. But it's really, really helpful to just be like, no, okay, we're just going to abort that mission. I'm just going to go back to a previous version of the site. You can actually, instead of asking for, hey, can you change the hero header section on the about page, whatever, you can actually just ask for the class names so that you understand kind of what's underneath the hood. You can see the code in Loveable if you're comfortable with that, but sometimes it's kind of helpful to just be like, what's the name of this? Cool, change it to be this, this, this. So you can kind of use it as an agent, I guess. And then obviously, if you're just uploading massive images from Unsplash or wherever, it's going to be the same performance issues that you're going to see on a Webflow website where you just upload huge images from Unsplash. Like that's still going to affect your website performance. And you can actually just optimize your site by literally being like, why is my site performance 60 when I want it to be 90 plus? And you can do that like after iterations quite easily. It just diagnoses the performance and it's like, hey, you need to change this, this, and this. So why am I saying all this stuff? Because I kind of think, why am I even interested in Loveable in the first place? I kind of think we're all Webflow curious. We're all doing Webflow stuff, and I think Webflow is amazing. I'm the first to say that. I still use Webflow most days. I guess what I'm thinking, though, is that soon these tools, like we talked a little bit about in Cassie's talk there, is, people are prompting and getting AI or, development tools to actually just do the thing. And we're trying to direct the thing, but they're doing the thing. And right now we're doing the thing and directing the thing, but I'm saying I think that might be changing. And I also think it's interesting with clients. Clients, for me, are coming to me when they've messed up their website using AI tools. They're like, I tried to use Bolt, I tried to use this, that, and the other, and it looks terrible, and I just want you to fix it. And that's kind of interesting, because that wasn't the case even a year ago for me. And so I just think now I feel like people that are more interested in the web and have a base understanding are going to be more like tastemakers or creative directors. They're going to know what is good versus what is bad, or know when to jump into AI and say, look, I don't think this is being done in the right way. Have we considered this option? And being kind of the steerer rather than the oarsman. Didn't know I was going to say that, but yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, off the back of that comment, maybe there's things that AI messes up or doesn't quite do in the way that we might imagine it, or maybe hasn't seen the broader picture of like, oh, the company have wanted like a marketing campaign and this, that, and the other, and there's all these different factors, and that is going to affect the decision-making about how we do things. Well, that's where maybe the technical doers are also going to be needed. So I'm not saying, oh, if you do Webflow, you're fucked. Sorry, YouTube. Then, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I think if you're in the bottom 50%, well, I think you might be in a bit of trouble. That's what I'm saying. I also think, though, in the context of all this AI, I don't know if you guys have gone on LinkedIn and seen these thought leaders that are churning out bollocks. These guys, I think, are screwed. I think authentic and critical opinions that are genuinely human from a place of, I've tried this, and here's my thoughts. Not, I've spoken to AI and churned out a load of stuff that it's dredged up. I think authentic and critical opinions really stand out. So I guess the summary of this whole thing is the barrier to entry to make stuff is lower than ever, as you saw from my terrible first slide. But I think the problems that we all have persist. We can all walk outside and see a bazillion problems. But I think on the positive side, there's things that you can actually solve easier than ever. There's technical things that you can, or technical skills that you now have access to that mean that you can problem solve in a mad way. Like the potential is amazing to solve problems. And that's why I think it's really exciting rather than completely or maybe it's completely overwhelming and exciting at the same time. But what I'm saying is I think it's an opportunity, and I think it's cool to go make stuff and try and solve problems. And that's my talk. And just before we end, I want to just see if my pitch, there it is, baby, came through at the end. Pitch thing. Rename. Oh my lord. And I need that to be lowercase.
Should be thing.
Pitch thing. Oh, please work. Okay, I've got a very basic prototype of an app for my football. See if it kind of works. Add player. Player management coming soon. That's not particularly helpful. I've exported all the team players.
Yeah.
It is. I guess, like, and that's the key thing that I wanted to kind of say as well, is that AI is not like, oh my God, you've now got a bajillion-dollar business idea. There's a lot of working out to do. And if you use it, in my opinion, if you use it thoughtfully, then it is a really powerful tool. If not, you're just going to be making more AI bollocks that we see on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. We've run over time, so Q&A is going to have to be at the fountain. Thank you so much for coming. I did have some. Do I do this quickly?
Yeah,
there is a couple of slides here to finish up on, which is coming up now. Here we go. The next meetup, September, to be confirmed, the 17th, which is the Webflow conference, first day, and stay tuned. And also, if you scan this QR code, join our WhatsApp group. Oh, I just saw Claudia. Hello. Excellent. So, thank you for coming, everyone. And before I finish up, maybe I could get a selfie with everyone. Let's see if this works. Because it's what Coldplay does. And yeah. No kissing. No. Actually, how can I? Is that still streaming? Yes, it is. How's that? Screenshot. Something like that. Everyone from the streams. Yeah. Okay. Bye, everyone.